Hello, real estate investing fools. We are back for another local spotlight on a city I've had my eye on for a few years, which is Kansas City, Missouri. I was in Kansas City for a few years ago for a job interview, was contemplating moving to the area, and I really liked what I saw. Job interview didn't end up working out, but I believe a lot of people are kind of sleeping on what a great city Kansas City is for living in and for investors. So our guide today for the investing opportunities in Kansas City is Gib Kerr. Gib is the managing principal for Cushman Wakefield's Kansas City office. His responsibilities include leading strategic growth and business development, and he leads the capital markets team in Kansas City. So he specializes in investment property sales and urban development. And over the last 10 years, he's brokered over $1 billion worth of new development in downtown Kansas City. So he's really had his eye on what's happening in the market and why it's exciting. So thank you for joining me, Gib. Why Kansas City? Why now?
Well, thanks, Deirdre. Great to be with you today. And we need to get you back to Kansas City soon. I think you'd probably be surprised by how different it is last time you were here. The city's changing so much. It's one of the fastest growing areas in the Midwest. And why Kansas City? I guess if I had to summarize it, I'd say quality of life. It's an outstanding quality of life, very affordable, great place to raise a family, a lot of exciting, fun things to do, great culture, great sports. I like to tell people there's something for everyone here. You know, for those who like the urban environment, the urban experience, we've got a dynamic urban core. But for others who prefer the more suburban lifestyle, we've got one of the most affordable housing markets in the country and the lowest amount of traffic and great, short commute times here as well. So quality of life is probably my number one reason why people are moving here.
Well, let's talk about the housing market, because from the residential real estate standpoint, median price still below the national average, which I know in the last year we've seen more and more people moving to markets like that, Kansas City among them, but the prices have gone up comparatively. So I've seen in local Kansas City press a lot of talk about that, about the challenges that are happening right now.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, Kansas City is experiencing the same thing that pretty much every city in the country is in terms of rising home prices. The inventory is very tight. Last I checked, I think we have less than a 1 month supply of houses on the market. And typically houses that go on the market are sold within 10 days or less. It's just a really, really tight market. And the reason is because Kansas City is growing fast. I mean, we've had our population growth over the last 5 years has been 2.5 times the national average. So people are moving here. In terms of the net migration that we're seeing in Kansas City from other markets, Kansas City is one of the top 10 markets in terms of net migration gains since the start of the pandemic. I think we're ranked number 8 in the country. So people are moving here because it's affordable, because of the the quality of life I mentioned, and especially moving here from more of the coastal or higher density cities.
So what's the housing stock like? Is it a lot of single family? Is there I mean, I know there are a few condo towers in the city. Is there a lot of multifamily duplexes? What's the overall housing stock like?
Well, I'm not sure when the last time was you were here, but the downtown market, the housing market has exploded. I think our downtown population went from about 8,000 people 15 years ago to now over 30,000, well on our way to 40,000 downtown quickly. So there's definitely a surge in urban housing and multifamily projects. But in the suburban market too, we have a lot of growth. Kansas City is geographically one of the largest cities in the country. I think we've got over 400 square miles. So we have a lot of land, and it's relatively inexpensive. And so there's a lot of suburban development in addition to the urban revitalization.
Interesting. So you're seeing some infill development, things like that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one good thing about Kansas City, it's an older city, and so we've got some great building stock. A lot of old buildings built in the 1890s, early 1900s, and the Missouri has a fantastic historic preservation program. And so we've had a lot of these, and I've been involved with a lot of them. It's one of my favorite things to do is work on these historic rehabilitation projects. So a lot of these old building stocks that are functionally obsolete as office space have now been converted to residential or hotels or other adaptive reuse. And so it's good. Kansas City's just a great blend of the old and the new.
So in terms of building, is there enough home building going on? I mean, one of the things we're looking at from a national perspective is just that, building never recovered from the great financial crisis. There's a lot of home building happening now, but in many markets, it isn't enough. Is it enough in Kansas City, or does there need to be more?
I think there needs to be more. I'm a little biased, but we have some of the top land brokers in Kansas City, and our land guys have been very busy working with not just local developers, but a lot of out of town developers. And we always love working with the out of town developers, not only because it's great for the city for them to bring in the outside capital, but also they bring in the ideas, the experience, and trends in other markets that we can benefit from here in Kansas City. So we're working with a lot of out of town investors and developers. And but to answer your question, yeah, we need more of them.
Excellent. So you mentioned the Central Business District earlier. One of the things I'm studying right now is the return of central business districts post-pandemic. Are people going back to the offices? What is the Kansas City Central Business District like right now?
It's coming back. You mean like everybody, we got hit and it was pretty quiet, especially March, April of last year. We do a lot of work in the downtown market. We're very active with the downtown council, and people are back on the streets downtown. It's not the ghost town that it was for a few months. And so slowly but surely, but most companies that we have been working with have been kind of in that time frame between Memorial Day and Labor Day. A lot of them are saying, okay, by Labor Day, we're going to be back, whether it's 100% or somewhere between 50 and 100%. Every company is different, and there are going to be various hybrid arrangements based on each company's employment background of the folks working there. So, but it's coming back.
Just wondering if it looks like you're back in the office. So, how is Cushman Wakefield dealing with this? Are you guys doing a hybrid thing right now?
Yeah, we've been at about 50% here in Kansas City, but it's different from market to market. But here in Kansas City, we've been at about 50% occupancy for the last couple of months, and we are, as a company, nationwide. In fact, maybe worldwide, I'm not sure, but nationwide, we're definitely going back to 100% occupancy September 1st.
Nice. Yeah, I see a lot of places, September 1st, October 1st, those seem to be those key things. It's definitely something that I'm watching as a student of office real estate.
Yeah, and it's good. It's something that everybody's got a different opinion on it, but for the most part, people in our office have recognized the value of that human interaction and the casual conversation at the water cooler that leads to something that you miss out on a lot of those random collision conversations when you're living on Zoom calls.
Totally agree. So what industries are sort of fueling the growth in Kansas City right now?
I would say primarily the two biggest growth industries are tech and design. Kansas City is ranked number 3 as one of the fastest growing tech markets in the country by CompTIA. There's CyberState's stats, and so a lot of tech growth in the cybersecurity, financial technology, 5G. Sprint was headquartered here and was recently purchased by T-Mobile. They've got a major presence still in this market, and as they roll out 5G, that's been really valuable for the Kansas City market. And then on the design side, we have over 500 architectural, engineering, construction firms here in Kansas City, and some of the leading architectural groups in the world, really. I mean, sports architecture. This is the home to sports architecture. Most stadiums and arenas designed not just nationally but around the world are designed here in Kansas City. So we've got a lot of really good human talent. And on the engineering side as well, some major engineering firms that are designing power plants and now getting more into the sustainable energy sector, designing projects all over the world, right out of Kansas City. So we're really fortunate to have all the design and engineering talent based here in Kansas City, and it spills over into other areas as well. Graphic design is emerging as a major employer sector here as well.
That's fascinating. I had no idea that Kansas City had that emphasis on sports architecture. I also tend to think of Kansas City as a hub just because of where it's situated. Is industrial real estate booming in Kansas City the same way it is in so many other markets?
It has, yes. As a matter of fact, it helped us have a record year in 2020 here in Kansas City through the pandemic, in spite of everything going on. The e-commerce explosion has really benefited Kansas City. We're at the crossroads of America here, and it's where the interstates and the rail hubs. I mean, it's east, west, north, south. Everything intersects here in Kansas City. We're within a 2-day drive of 90% or 95% of the entire United States population here in Kansas City. We're the the country's largest rail hub in terms of rail car traffic, and number two rail hub by tonnage. Yeah, we've emerged as one of the most active industrial markets in the country now. I think we have about 13 million square feet of industrial space under development right now.
What's the absorption rate on that? Is it getting snapped up as soon as it's built?
It has. I mean, the last few years we've been building out consistently between 5 and 10 million square feet of industrial space per year, and the market's as tight as it's ever been with rates going up. So, probably our biggest hurdle right now is the steel shortage, which is impacting everybody. Steel prices are going up, and there's probably 9 to 10 month wait for steel delivery because of the supply chain issues.
Interesting. So, in terms of residential property investors, what neighborhoods do you think are up and coming? What ones are sort of considered the hottest neighborhoods now and hottest neighborhoods kind of going forward?
That's a great question. I'm kind of an urban core guy, so I'm a little biased towards the urban core. But one of the major things that's been impacting the revitalization of the urban core has been the streetcar line. We had a starter line 2.2 miles, went in a couple. Well, actually, it's been about 5 or 6 years ago. Wildly popular, and so popular, in fact, that they're extending it. And so the streetcar is going to go from the Missouri River, all the way to the plaza through the urban core. And the initial streetcar has already spawned, I think, over $2 billion worth of development. So I would say, if I were a residential investor, I would really look hard at the urban core, anywhere along the streetcar line. The Truce corridor is also really coming back, which is great. And kind of on a broader level, what's exciting to see is a lot of these inner ring suburbs that were built, in the 1950s and 60s. And I'm thinking of places like Overland Park, Merriam, Mission, Raytown, North Kansas City. The population is changing. The older folks are moving on, and newer, younger families are moving in and fixing up some of these older houses. And they don't want to go, 30 miles out into the suburbs. So, yeah, there are a lot of exciting opportunities here, I think.
So there's a little bit of a housing shortage. What other challenges do you think Kansas City is facing right now as it comes back from the pandemic?
I think one of our biggest challenges has been, it's also one of our biggest assets is the conservative nature of Midwestern people. And, some of the lenders haven't been as willing to lend on some of these real estate projects. And, we see it time and time again, a lot of out of town investors and developers, and a lot of even out of town lenders who see more potential in Kansas City sometimes than the locals themselves see. And so we're always excited and roll out the welcome mat to out of town investors, because I think sometimes our conservatism holds us back a little bit.
Interesting. So what projects are you most excited about that are in development right now, either that that you're connected to, or just in the city as a whole?
Well, we've got a couple of major infrastructure projects going on that I think are going to have a huge impact on the city. First of all is our new airport terminal, which is going to be completed in March of 2023. That's a $1.5 billion new terminal, which we desperately needed. And I'm excited about it for a number of reasons, but probably foremost because we think it's going to lead to a lot more direct flights to Kansas City. Direct flights are going to help us attract more Fortune 500 companies, more visitors, and so that should be great for the city. So the airport, that's huge. And then I mentioned the streetcar. The streetcar extension will be completed in, I believe, 2 or 3 years. And we think that's going to continue to attract more people to the urban core. And then, going forward, hopefully we'll see a downtown baseball stadium developed. The Royals Stadium it will be 60 years old when the lease expires here in about 10 years. So there's a lot of talk about moving the stadium downtown, which would be a great shot in the arm for downtown.
Interesting. Yeah, not too many of the older stadiums left. They keep I think the Royals is one of the older ones now, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it was built in 1972. It was renovated about 15 years ago, but you can only do so much to a 60-year-old stadium. But the more important thing is that it really needs to be downtown, where you can have a lot more of the ripple effect, the spinoff benefit from having 30,000 fans downtown for 81 home games a year.
Yeah, no doubt. Which kind of leads me to my last question, which is, if you were building your dream Kansas City, what would you add? It sounds like you're already getting some of the things that you might want, like the streetcar and potentially having a new baseball stadium downtown. But what else would be on your wish list?
Well, my wish list would be to really continue what we're doing, except do it maybe at a faster pace. We've got some great momentum with companies moving downtown, a lot of corporate relocations. We've benefited from companies moving here from both coasts and from other places throughout the country. And so we've got some really good Class A office space that's coming online, which we think will really help us attract some of those corporate relocations. And I think that's what I'd like to see the most, is that continued resurgence of our urban core.
I like that. Okay, I lied. One quick last question then. In terms of attracting those Fortune 500 companies, what does that process look like in terms of trying to sell people on Kansas City as a great place to have a headquarters? Well,
I know we're in a tight labor market right now, and so most companies are really focused on the labor market. And Kansas City is fortunate to have a great workforce, highly educated workforce. The educational statistics for our workforce are generally above the national average. The other thing about Midwesterners, there's that good old-fashioned Midwestern work ethic. A lot of people in Kansas City are only 2 or 3 generations removed from the farm and still know what it's like to work hard. And so we've got a great workforce here that companies around the country can benefit from.
Well, that is fantastic. I definitely need to go back to Kansas City. Thank you, Gib, so much for your time today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.